Float.com sponsors the British Supermoto Championship.
It's round 6 of the 2013 British Supermoto Championship. We're back at Three Sisters Circuit in Wigan. Plenty of action coming up for the Open Elite class. Today I'm joined in the studio by Richard Blakeman, and great to see Andy Mitchell joining me again today. First of all, Richard, a great start to the season for you. Round 1 in particular was awesome for us to watch, and you really packed in a few surprises. The last few rounds, though, maybe tailored off a little bit. Just tell us a bit about your season so far.
Well, I've had a fantastic start to the season. Good battles with Chris and Davey. And then like, a couple of rounds after, I had a dislocation to my knee, same as last year. Not too good, really, up at the Scottish Supermoto. And it's not been too good, to be honest. So I've just had a couple of weekends off and trying to recover, really.
That's a reoccurring injury, isn't it? You said the same as last year. Is it the same injury that's flaring up again, or different damage, or? No,
it's the same injury. I thought I got over it, but I'm obviously not, and it popped out, and it's still hurting me.
Not ideal. Andy, I mean, you know, you've ridden for years now, you know your way around, and you know how to capitalise, I suppose, on people's strengths and weaknesses. If you know someone like Richard's carrying an injury, can you use that to your advantage? Can you be a bit harder? Would you be as fair as you may be on an ordinary day, or would you think, I can probably pop up the inside because he might move out there?
Yeah, the thing to do, you know, we all do it, Richard as well, you know, show him a front wheel, give him a bit of a panic rem in the corners, bit of shouting.
A bit of a shout in my case.
Yeah, that's it. He's always shouting at people.
Yeah, it works sometimes, doesn't it?
It does sometimes, yeah. Just to upset them a little bit, you know. What's that? What's going on there? You know, and it can just put them out of the rhythm and give you a chance to shoot down the inside type thing.
Perfect, actually, because I mean that's the art of supermoto racing, I suppose. You know, everyone thinks about backing it in and the surface changes. A lot of it is about rhythm, isn't it? And Three Sisters, you know, there's so many different configurations at this track. Is it difficult to get into a rhythm, or does everyone sort of know the configurations and figure out how to get the setup and their rhythm within the race?
Yeah, it's they do keep changing the circuit at Three Sisters. Like you say, there are many options now. It's one of the premier places in the country for supermoto, and over the years they've altered the circuit and put little different sections in there. So yeah, once you get into that flow, it's good.
And Richard, with so many track configurations at Three Sisters, is it hard to sort of remember where you're up to? I mean, we only film and focus on the Sunday's day of the race, so you're racing a completely different circuit on the Saturday in the 450 class, or XP, whatever you're doing. But by the same token, you know, there's about 6 to 8 different layouts at Three Sisters.
I was going to say, you can run it backwards the normal way. There's 3 different dirt sections on the track, so you can run like there's the tarmac jump both ways with that, and then you've got the 2 hill sections which are both like dirt and gravel, so you can run them both ways, either way really. But like I say, there's that many different nowadays. Not for me anyway. I take my time, get used to it, and then we go straight into like qualifying then. But other people like Hodgson and Davey, they can go straight out and bang a fast lap in straight away. So different riders take different times to adjust to the track really.
Well, we are going clockwise in this configuration. This is a circuit that I particularly like. Let's take a look at the racing then for Open Elite race number 1. So just 1/10 of a second splits Chris Hodgson, Davey Todd and Lewis Cornish, who sits on the front row along with Chris Walker. A great qualifying session for him. On row 2 is Richard Blakeman with Richard Sharp, Dale O'Connor and Jay Smith in P8. On row 3 is Brad Hardy with Dean Wingate making his first appearance for the season in the British Championship with Jimmy Hodges and John Earnshaw. And on row 4 is Michael Craig with Graham Norris, Tim Johnson and Ollie Kemp completing the lineup then for Open Elite race number 1. So by my side in commentary, as ever, is Christian Idden.
Hello.
Great to have you here, as Dave did, and he's pointing to the lights. The riders are away from the start, and David Todd making a pretty good start at the inside of Chris Hodgson. Hodgson keeping it pinned around the outside, and these two going neck and neck. They go straight on with this configuration, and it's Hodgson that just about gets the whole shot there, Christian.
Yeah, great start there for David Todd, but Hodgson held his nerve all the way around the outside, and I've never ridden that configuration. That's a nice little configuration they've got running through there, much smoother, because obviously normally there's a big bottleneck going into the first dirt section, but yeah, great start from these two guys out front, and Lewis Cornish is right there with them as well, and these three guys were separated by absolutely nothing in qualifying. They really were the standout of the field, and a good qualifying as well from fourth place man Chris Walker, who was up in fourth, and probably the first time he's been on the front row this season. Yeah, great to see Chris Walker up there actually this season. Problems for his teammate from 698 Racing, John Earnshaw there, number 181. Just, I don't know if he had an off there or actually stole the bike, but on the kickstart there, unable to get it started again. We're riding on board with David Todd though. Yeah, it looked like he had an off because he had straw bales all hanging out of his handguard, so I reckon he'd been down somewhere. So unfortunate there for John Earnshaw, who was riding really well at the last round as well, so we'll see how it goes later on. So we've now got Dale O'Connor trying to go around the outside of Bradley Harden. He's now switching it up to go the inside Luna, one of the best corners in the whole of British Supermoto. It goes on forever and ever as it opens up, and there's so many different lines you can take. That's a great corner. Yeah, Brad Hardy pretty much closing the door there, and Dale O'Connor behind him as he went round Luna, so using his head a bit, Brad, too. Yeah, definitely good riding from Brad Hardy. And we've got another crasher, that's number 558. That's Jimmy Hodges, yeah. Jimmy Hodges, and he's had a fairly big one. Look at all the dirt and debris he's taken with him. Well, back with this battle between Brad Hardy and Dale O'Connor. They call him Chess, don't they, Brad Hardy? Because of his appearance. Can't really say any more on that, really, but at the moment he's having a really good year. I mean, it's his first year in the Open Elites in Supermoto, first full year anyway, and he's, to be battling out with Dale O'Connor, he's a fair rider. No mean feat that at all. Now, Chris Walker there, I think being chased by Richard Sharp too, as we're back on board with David Todd, in second place, chasing Chris Hodgson and having a look at the inside. He's going up the inside. Brilliant move there from David. Now, can he hold the line? Normally he'd cut to the left there, but now going straight on, there's a fast left-hander, so Davey's got it and he's made the move stick. Spot on. Great racing there from David Todd, and it was great camera work as well. We were sat on that all the way around Luna Bend, and you could see Hodgson's peg sliders scraping all the way around, so awesome to see the lean angle these guys get. But really clean, nice move there from Davey. That was spot on. Absolutely great, and as you say, multitasking there. Great bit of onboard action too from David Todd, going over Coward Summit then and dropping down as we've got another battle there. Michael Craig going out wide. I'm not sure if he was pushed by, was it Dean Wingate? Dean Wingate it is, yeah, so they're having a good battle as well. So it's good to see Dean Wingate out as well. I think it's one of the first times we've seen him this year, and a real good rider is Dean, so it's always nice to have guys coming back into the series, so it's good to see Dean. Absolutely. Now, Chris Hodgson having a quick look up the inside of David Todd there. I was just going to say, while we're talking about Dean, of course we saw him at the Pageant of Power in last week's episode, and perhaps that's rekindled some interest for Dean to get back out there and racing in the British Championship. Great to see him back, but the battle's on here with these two. David Todd leading Chris Hodgson. Now, we saw that pass before, and can Hodgson come back at the man from the northeast here? Yeah, never mind just these two. Look who's just in the background. That's Lewis Cornish, who is absolutely riding a blinder. He's still in the mix. There's no way that this is just a two-horse race. We've got Lewis Cornish who's right there. So it'd be nice now if we can just see a bit of aggression, getting to just close that gap and just show a wheel to Hodgson, who at the moment has got a bit of a difficult time in his hands, because not only has he got to try and pass Davey, he's got to try and keep Lewis behind him. David Todd right on the edge of the track there, trying to just ride it very bravely, right on the white line there on the outside to make full use of the tarmac here at Three Sisters. But David Todd at the moment looking quick. Interesting what you were saying about Lewis Cornish maybe showing a bit of aggression. I know Chris Cox, who formerly has been with Sky Zone and working with Chris Hodgson, has been saying to Lewis Cornish to maybe be a little bit less aggressive on the bike. So I suppose it's all about when you can pull it out your pocket, really, isn't it? Yeah, and aggressive in which different form. So there's being aggressive on the bike, upsetting the bike and doing that kind of thing, or there's also being aggressive and like this. That's an aggressive move, going around the outside of someone on the dirt section. Yeah. Look at these two going at it. That's Michael Craig and Dean Wingate, and we saw a bit of handlebars and elbows, I think, on turn one, didn't we? Still at it. Look at that. That's a fast corner coming down there. So that's great racing from the both of them, and good respect shown there as well, because Dean Wingate could have quite easily pushed Michael out and onto the dirt as they came off there. So that was nice to see. Really good, respectful racing there. And we see there Hodgson had a look there underneath Davey, but that's so close and so tough. this layout is definitely sort of lending itself to some close racing, but not quite lending itself to too much passing at the moment. So it's going to have to be quite a tough move, I think, to for anything to move. We've seen Davey do it. Can Hodgson do it?
Well, have a look at the inside. There he goes.
That was a great move, and he just run a bit out, but it doesn't matter because the next corner is a left-hander, and Lewis Cornish is getting another sniff again. Look, he's right there. And what I was saying before about being aggressive, that's the time now just to catch Davey on the surprise. And now's the time for Lewis just to show him a wheel. He won't be expecting it because he's too busy looking at the back end of Hodgson. Look at that.
What is it about Hodgson? He always seems to have sparks flying there, doesn't he, from his foot peg? And up the inside goes David Todd to return the compliment.
This is an amazing race. Oh, Hodgson just lose it there. All these bikes seem to just be suffering from a little bit of chatter. Three Sisters is a very high grip circuit, and you do get that bit of chatter, and you'll just see the front fenders shaking or the front wheel. And what just amazing racing, great cutbacks. But we've also got a back marker coming, so hopefully the blue flags will be out, and he'll know in good time and get out of the way, because this is just an amazing race between these three guys.
Well, how is Chris Hodgson going to respond? He gets a foot down there and struggles to get the power down out of the dirt section. Back marker there too, as you say, Christian. And now coming down round what they used to call Rossi Bend. I've adopted that for this season, but David Todd here looking absolutely brilliant, and you know, so much of an accomplished rider this year to keep his calm and keep his nervous. Hodgson's having another quick look as they turn into Luna there.
Yeah, David Todd's gone on to a new level of confidence for himself. Definitely just a big step up this year. Doesn't mind leading races, he's happy, he knows he can run at the front, he knows he can run with Hodgson, who has been the best for so many years now. And you know, to see a young guy like Davey step up, it's really good. And you know, Dave Clark, who obviously saw me come through the ranks, he spoke to me about Davey and said that he really believes in this guy, and that's great to see it coming to fruition. And you know, just brilliant racing. And as well, Lewis Cornish is still there. He's just quite missing out, maybe a tenth or two. He just needs to close that gap. But another great race from Lewis as well.
But Lewis is having a great season. I mean, we saw him in pole position as well. We saw him win a race. We saw him having that super pole with Chris Hodgson too at Rowra. And you know, his confidence must be growing round by round surely as well.
Oh, absolutely. Great racing, and great ride. And Lewis, I think, probably is also being pushed by Davey, and that is it. Davey is taking a great win there. Brilliant racing.
Yeah, taking the checker flag. A brilliant victory then for David Todd in Open Elite Race 1. Taking the spoils off Chris Hodgson despite a hard-fought challenge there. Lewis Cornish right there with them all along. Richard Sharp gets one over Chris Walker with his starting position there, ahead of Richard Blakeman, Jay Smith, Dale O'Connor, Brad Hardy and Graham Norris, the top 10 in Open Elite Race 1. Some superb racing from those boys, and all really fighting for those positions in the championship now. So Andy, Chris Hodgson, the fastest man in qualifying, not quite doing it in race 1.
No, it was a good race. He had a good start, took the lead. It looks like halfway through. I think there's some differences with the bikes which may have come into play in that race.
Yeah, you were saying while we were watching it that, you know, the tyre going off, and that was a result of the chassis, is that right?
Yeah, Davey's riding the older KTM chassis, which has a linkless rear suspension, where the newer chassis, there's a linkage on it there, and I don't think Three Sisters that's the best way to go. I think the linkless is definitely better around the longer corners like Luna.
And that's because it's not a dedicated supermoto bike now, modified motocross bikes.
Yeah, basically the newer KTM now is a modified motocross bike, where the SMR that Dave is riding is a dedicated supermoto frame which is stiffer around the steering area.
Interesting to see actually which bike performs better throughout the entire season. Richard, if I may turn to you, you had a bit of a shocker in that. Talk us through what happened in your race.
Yeah, I had a bit of a bad start, come together with somebody, and then went over the first jump and come together with John Earnshaw. Went through the tyres and joined Bob. I think I was stone dead last, I think. Then pulled back through. I can't remember where I finished. I think about 7th or 8th, I think I were.
And you were saying your knee affecting you as well. Not what you needed, was it?
No, not what I needed. So we're just trying to get points now, just gaining back really throughout the year, and just see what we can do.
And going into that race, 22 points separating yourself from Lewis Cornish for 3rd place. You know, he's got a few points over you in that race. Yeah,
he has. I said I wanted to try and top 3 to finish throughout the year, to try and get into riding Bulgaria for the Des Nations.
Destinations, what everyone's got their eye on at the moment.
Yeah, that's what I say. Dave Dearden says to us at the beginning of the year, it's top 3, and that's it. So I want to try and get there, really.
Well, let's see how you get on in race 2. Join us again after the break as we take a look then at the 2013 British Supermoto Championship, race number 2 from Three Sisters in Wigan.
OneToLiveAfloat.com sponsors the British Supermoto Championship. OneToLiveAfloat.com sponsors the British Supermoto Championship.
Welcome back to Three Sisters Race Circuit in Wigan. It's round 6 of the 2013 British Supermoto Championship. Plenty of action in race number 1 as we move on to Open Elite, race number 2. So after a colossal first race, it's Davy Todd who takes pole position then in Open Elite Race 2. Alongside him, Chris Hodgson, Lewis Cornish and Richard Sharp. On row 2 is Chris Walker with Richard Blakeman, Jay Smith and Dale O'Connor in P8. On row 3 is Brad Hardy with Graham Norris, Tim Johnson, Dean Wingate, and on row 4 is Michael Craig, Ollie Kemp, John Earnshaw and Jamie Hodges in P16. So interesting to hear that it was in fact Richard Blakeman and John Earnshaw that came together in the end there, Christian.
Yeah, and that was an amazing first race. It's going to be tough to top that one, but I'm sure they'll all be at it. That was a brilliant race. So Dave Dearden at the front, just making sure everything's ready to go. That's our race director. They're going to watch the lights. Here we go.
Well, the lights go out and away go the riders then. Lifting off the inside is Richard Sharp there as Davy Todd getting the best of it ahead of Chris Hodgson. Lewis Cornish is there too. Sharpie's up into 4th place there, which was his starting place despite lifting there too. So Chris Walker no doubt putting the attack
Hodgson
on
straight up the inside. Straight, and Lewis Cornish seizes the advantage. Brilliant move there as well from Cornish. So Hodgson not wanting to waste any time, straight up there. And really showing his attentions there from Hodgson. And also Lewis, who's gone out and gone, right, I want to be part of this. He knows he can run the pace, so good move there from Lewis Cornish.
Absolutely, and poor David Todd got Blakeman, didn't he?
Yeah, he had someone riding around the outside of him, and it's never a good thing getting Blakeman. So speaking of which, he had those issues in the first one, so might be able to see a bit more. But Davy Todd back on the attack. Lewis Cornish has just chopped his nose off there, so these two teammates are racing really hard, and Richard Sharp just in 4th. So these 3 guys are absolute standout. Can Sharpie try and keep with it? And that's Jay Smith in 5th there on the Husqvarna as well.
I was just going to say, yeah, Jay Smith up to 5th. So great to see him actually having a really good race in this and back up there again.
Yeah, Jay Smith you've been riding for a long time, and Davy Todd just switching to the inside, and his teammate now dives up the inside. Can he hold the line? Yes, he has. And look how much that front fender's just flapping about. A lot of that is through the chatter. These Michelins give off so much grip, and so does this Three Sisters tarmac. It's quite an old surface, but actually it's got a lot of grip. There is lots of different tarmac changes, but it gives off so much grip, this tarmac, and that's what causes all this chatter, because at the end of the day, you have just spoken about it, and about them being very stiff chassis compared to just a normal motocross bike, but they're not a road bike, they're nowhere near as stiff as what those would be. It gives the feeling that you can get on a supermoto bike, but when you get as much grip as you've got here on a dry day at Three Sisters, then it can rattle your teeth about a bit.
Absolutely, and interesting what you were saying about the surface change as Hodgson sparking again there out in front.
Yeah, you can see the surface changes just on this on board. There's plenty. We're going to come into one. There's going to be a patch here on the left hand side. There's a bit that Hodgson's just gone over. There's about 3 here around Luna. Oh, Blakeman's down again.
Wow,
and he's slow to get up as well. That's definitely, his knee's definitely hurting him there by the looks of it.
He looks a bit tired and weary, bless him, at that point, doesn't he? And here we are with Chris Hodgson, Davy Todd popping it up the inside, going wide. Who's got the measure of this? We're still right on board with Chris Hodgson, but Davy Todd's done it and pulled the pin back on Chris Hodgson, returned the compliment, and he's got past Cornish's too there actually to get out in first place now, hasn't he, Christian?
Yeah, it's great respect for riding as well from these guys. That was a good move from Davy. Just missed the apex on the way in by just a bit, but it wasn't enough for Hodgson to cut it back, and then with the way the track goes now, there was no way back for Hodgson. So good move from Davy. So now we've got Jay Smith, Dale O'Connor and Chris Walker, so these 3 guys are having a great race as well.
Yeah, this is interesting to see.
This is a proper whip there from Jay Smith over the tarmac tabletop.
It's great, isn't it? I mean, that dirt section now, a very, very small dirt section here at Three Sisters with this configuration, a very particularly quick, fast configuration here at Three Sisters with this. But as you say, the change in tarmac, Supermoto ultimately is always about the change of surface, isn't it?
Exactly.
And, it's not just about the change from tarmac to dirt, it's actually about the changes of tarmac too.
Yeah, exactly. We've been on different, and that's Graham Norris, I think, who's on a KTM for some reason.
Yeah, and is that Sam Gilbody's bike he's riding there, number 37? I'm just trying to think. And coming together with Tim Johnson, isn't it?
Big crash from Johnson.
Oh, and that's a heavy-looking fall, and, well, pretty lucky there, actually, to not do his collarbone there, because he seemed to go over the high side, didn't he?
Yeah, he just ran into the back there of Graham Norris, and there was nothing he can do. Here goes Blakeman. He's going around the outside of Dean Wingate at Luna. It's a very, very long way around there. He's probably going to cut it back, which he does there. Beautifully executed move there. Wingate's looking over it, let him through. There you go.
A foot out as well. Yeah, I thought that was going in the spokes, but
yeah. I think Dean knew that Richard's a bit faster than him, and it's probably better just to concede than have a fight going into that corner with Richard Blakeman.
You did say faster then, didn't you?
Faster, yes.
Yeah, just checking. Right, there is David Todd out
That's
in front.
one T.
Yeah, sorry. David Todd out in front ahead of Chris Hodgson here, and absolutely riding sensationally today. A couple of little mistakes there that Chris Hodgson's capitalised on, but David Todd said, a couple of weeks ago that actually, it's all about capitalising on those mistakes. We saw Lewis Cornish, of course, do that too a little bit earlier, but these guys now are just riding absolutely at the limit and trying to gain any bit of advantage over each other that they can.
Definitely.
Hodgson's
down! Oh, he just ran just a bit close to the back of David. I don't know if he just grabbed a bit too much front brake, but he's lost it going onto that one and only small dirt section.
And we're on the last lap as well, so here comes David Todd to come round and take the checkered flag. A look over his shoulder. There's no Chris Hodgson there. David Todd takes the win for Open Elite Race 2. Could this get any more exciting here at Three Sisters today? Some brilliant racing, Christian.
Amazing racing. Hodgson cannot get that bike going. This for the championship is pretty important. Hodgson there, he's pressing that button and nothing's happening. With
every rider that goes past is losing points for the British Championship. David Todd taking the win then for Open Elite Race 2. 35 points to him. Lewis Cornish taking second place ahead of Richard Sharp. Jay Smith are well at fourth place too, ahead of Chris Walker, Dale O'Connor, Brad Hardy, Richard Blakeman, John Earnshaw and Jimmy Hodges are the top 10. Chris Hodgson registered as 15th. So he does get his points for 15th place, but that's cost him massively. So Open Elite Race 2, not quite to plan for Chris Hodgson that time around, and probably for yourself as well, to be fair, Richard.
Yeah, I had a bad race, that one. I come off at myself again, not too good. But Hodgson, he come off in the dirt section, couldn't get his bike going. So I think he finished stone dead last.
Bit of a nightmare, because you were battling your way through the field. We saw that just before Chris fell.
Yeah, I was trying to pull back through. I think I was trying to pass Dale O'Connor, and there was a bit of two different tarmacs. And the band of tarmac in the middle lost the back end and come off. So not too good really, bad race.
You mentioned again, talking about that chassis and the tyre wear in that race, you could see Chris Hodgson's back wheel, oversliding a little bit coming out of Luna, and his tyre really going off there. Was that part of why he fell, do you think, or was it just a case of a bit of gravel on the dirt section?
Yeah, he actually fell on the dirt section, but you could see again, it looked about halfway through the race there. On the long Luna corner, you can definitely see a difference with Chris's bike on the handling. Davy's bike's planted all the way around there, and Chris's bike is starting to move quite a lot, leaving rubber marks actually.
Riding style, I suppose, though. I mean, Davy looking slightly more aggressive on the bike, Chris looking a little bit more composed, although the bikes were doing the opposite to that. So do you think Chris was compensating for his tyres, his bike not being maybe as quick as Davy's?
I'm not sure, because looking at Chris's bike from the beginning of the year, it was even running a standard exhaust at the first round, but now it looks like they've made quite a few mods to the bike. It's got the twin pipe system on there, a different swinging arm and things as well.
I think he's got that GET system on now.
Right, so running different ignition system as well then that is running as.
Yeah, he can change it. I think Trevor Pope, I think he's been having his computer plugged in and stuff and changing a few bits and bats, I think. So that's. I don't think it's a power issue. I personally think it is a chassis issue that they've got putting extra pressure on the tyre.
So the boys playing with the toys, but it's maybe a little bit more fundamental than that. We'll hopefully come back to this in part 4, but for now we're going to take a short break and then we'll come back with all the action from Open Elite race number 3. Join us in a moment.
OneSliverFloat.com sponsors the British Supermoto Championship. OneSliverFloat.com sponsors the British Supermoto Championship.
It's round number 6 of the 2013 British Supermoto Championship. Plenty of action going on the circuit here in Wigan. Let's get down to the track then for Open Elite race number 3. So another sensational race in Open Elite Race 2 puts David Todd on the top spot in pole position for the second time this afternoon ahead of Lewis Cornish, Richard Sharp and Jay Smith on the front row. On row 2 is Chris Walker, Dale O'Connor, Brad Hardy and Richard Blakeman. On row 3 is John Earnshaw in P9 ahead of Jimmy Hodges, Graham Norris and Dean Wingate. And on row 4 is Michael Craig, Ollie Kemp, Chris Hodgson on the back row in P15 with Tim Johnson completing the lineup in P16. So he was a non-finisher 2 in race number 2. Some brilliant racing this afternoon, Christian.
Amazing racing. This one's going to be interesting to see what Hodgson can do from the back of the grid. This first lap is going to be so important. He needs to get as far forward as he can.
I suppose while all the riders are bunched together, this is where you need to make your work, isn't it? They're away from the start, then David Todd getting the best of it from the outside, and presumably that's the best riding line there. We're on board with Chris Hodgson, boxed in there a little bit as he tries to get past John Earnshaw. No real way through for him there though, Christian.
He's done about 5 guys before he'd even seen the green light. I think he got a fantastic start, did Hodgson, but this bit, no way through on this bit. This is all single file. He needs to do it on a little bit of more fast open. He's going to go up the inside of someone on the tabletop, just in the background there, but he's already up inside the top 10, easily inside the top 10. It's just what he needs.
Well, Lewis Cornish, let's talk about him in second place. Is his focus now going to be on chasing down David Todd and trying to steal a win here, surely?
Got to be. I mean, in that second race, it just looked like Davey and Chris's pace just was a little bit too fast for him, and they just pulled a gap which they hadn't pulled in that first race. So, you know, Davey hasn't got Chris pushing him in this race, so whether Davey just pulls off
that's a brave move, that.
Great move, and he's got to do it as Hodgson, got to do it. And he's up behind Chris Walker already, but as I said, Lewis Cornish, this is the time now to pounce on his teammate Davey Todd. And Chris Hodgson is already up to around about 6th or 7th position, so an absolutely blinding first lap.
But just look at the chatter, the bike straightening up there as he's going round there. And is that, you know, I was wondering whether that was his foot peg or whether that's just the tyre giving way a little bit on him there. But it's, yeah, he's certainly struggling a little bit down there, isn't he?
He's pushing hard, but it just looks like mid-corner, it just, you know, the front end starts chatty, it looks like it's then transferring to the back, and then he's getting big slides as well. So certainly probably not got the setup on that bike that he's really hoping for. But he's going up the inside of Chris Walker. He's tried that on Davey Todd and it didn't quite work on that one either. So Chris Hodgson is trying every which way, but he knows that every second that he's spending behind these guys, his front 2 guys are just pulling away.
Absolutely. It's great to briefly see Jay Smith before. Now we're looking at Chris Walker, still mixing it there too, but Chris Hodgson up the inside of Chris Walker, gets the power down, and well, if he didn't do him there, he's probably going to do it at the end of Paddock straight into Paddock Bend, actually, and into these S's. Chris Hodgson really turning his attention. There's Richard Blakeman too, trying to work his way through the field. Let's not forget about him, of course. We were talking about Chris Hodgson working his way through the field in a battle with Dale O'Connor now, with Jay Smith not far behind. So the pressure really on Richard Blakeman here. He was talking about, of course, he wants to race in Des Nations as well. Dave Dearden looking for the top 3, he was saying earlier. So Richard Blakeman with a real point to prove here.
Definitely, you know, it's a big thing to be picked for your national squad into this Supermoto Des Nations. It's a real, you know, honour to ride it, and you know, there's a lot of guys that fight for a lot of the pride that is that, as Dean Wingate goes up the inside of Ollie Kemp, so great racing all the way through the field. But yeah, as I said, to do with Des Nations, it is a big thing, and it's great to support your nation.
We've got a real pack of action here. Is at 558 Jimmy Hodges storming up the inside of Ches there. Brad Hardy, of course, at the back of this train, and it's John Earnshaw that leads that, actually, ahead of
well, there's a funny number in there that I didn't quite recognise.
I was going to say, I'm trying to figure out who that is, actually. I'm wondering, actually, if it was Graham Norris on a different bike here.
Could be, because he was on a KTM in that second race, so Graham Norris possibly having a few bike issues, and that is a move and a half.
That's not even normally Graham Norris's leathers, but definitely riding like it's his helmet. Yeah, it's Graham Norris, that, I reckon.
Well, he's doing everything to try and make it look like it's not him. He's in everything different on a different bike, but that was an absolutely unreal move. I've never seen
definitely Graham Norris, the way he's rinsing that though, going into that corner.
Never seen anyone go around the outside of anyone going down into that corner. That is so fast down there, and there's hardly any run off at all, so that was very brave.
Brilliant. Now we've got this battle still. Dale O'Connor rinsing it, and Richard Blakeman there looking, well, just a little bit smoother at the moment. He's certainly the rider behind, but it looks like he's just biding his time, looking for the opportunity here to try and make a move, and who knows what effect he's got from his knee from 2 crashes on it today. Yeah,
well, you said a little bit smoother, but we've seen it before where he has had this, recurring knee injury, and he does for a few rounds. When he's had the injury, he has started riding smoother just to make sure he doesn't sort of catch it or anything. So potentially he's looking a bit smoother, also just to protect his injury that he's carrying.
Yeah, of course, but looking pretty aggressive now on the bike, so I wonder if he can catch Dale, as Dale looking pretty good here, and looks like he's got the measure over Richard Blakeman, although not perhaps quite as tidy, so wonder if Blakeman can capitalise on a mistake there. There's Lewis Cornish there, number 8, chasing down his DCR teammate, the man out in front, Davy Todd. And Todd, well, looking to run away with this, but Cornish no doubt going to be chasing him down. As I said earlier, just a 10th between Chris Hodgson, David Todd and Lewis Cornish in qualifying. It shows that all these guys have got pace. No doubt the setup's not completely dissimilar between these 2 riders either, but let's see who has got it on the day. At the moment, it's David Todd. Yeah,
obviously teammates, they're on very similar machinery, so it's always good to know when you're racing with guys. And Davy Todd having a good big look over his shoulders. He takes a great win, brilliant win there from Davy Todd.
Yeah, well, he's another win today, and he's really put one hand on some silverware this afternoon. He's going to be the overall winner today here at Three Sisters. So 35 points going to David Todd then for a great race win in Open Elite Race 3. Lewis Cornish claiming 2nd place. Talk about damage limitation exercise for Chris Hodgson, working his way up to 3rd place, and 30 points for him. Richard Sharp in 4th, Chris Walker in 5th, and Richard Blakeman working his way up to 6th place for a great result for him too. Dale O'Connor then in 7th ahead of Jay Smith, Graham Norris and Jimmy Hodges. Vicky's in the paddock to catch up with them.
Richard, you weren't in the top 3, but you were going some then, mate.
Oh, I don't know. I weren't as quick as these boys today, but I felt faster then. It was quite good. Me and Dale having a good battle, overshot the tabletop, so he passed me back. But yeah, it was a good race, to be honest.
I'll be honest, I think you did have the pace, you just weren't up at the top end.
No, I've been getting bad starts all weekend, really. But once these boys get gone, that's it. You can't catch them. But yeah, it was a good weekend all round.
We'll see you at Teesside anyway, so
right,
good luck with that. Chris, you weren't quite at the back of the grid for the starter, but you were mid-pack and you made your way up to the top of the pack, so well done.
Yeah, next to last on the grid, so that wasn't brilliant. I think the rider in front, I don't think he could see the lights and he forgot to set off, and that was a bit hectic on the first straight, but I managed to pull my way through. I made a few hard passes, but got to 3rd, but these boys had just pulled too much of a gap and I couldn't reel it in.
I was going to say you did. We thought you were going to, well, you were obviously going for 1st place, but you had no chance, did you?
No, not with the times being so close today, and Lewis and Davey were running up front, and Davey had to work hard to keep Lewis behind, so I didn't have any chance of catching them.
Well, we'll see you at the next round. I'm sure you'll be back on it then. Lewis, I've got to be honest, I thought you were going to have that at one point.
Yeah, it's just like Chris said, the times are that close to find anywhere to pass, really. You just got to wait for a mistake from someone, and to be fair, Davey in that one, I only saw him make one mistake, and I weren't in the right place at the right time to make anything of it. So, yeah, fair play to him. He handled it really well, and we're going to add some good pace.
What's it like racing so hard against your teammate?
It's just, I treat it like I'm racing anyone else, really. Obviously, you give them a bit more than you would anyone else, but yeah, other than that, you just got to. Obviously, there's no point trying to hold each other up, doing like block passes and whatever else. Both of you are here for the same reason, to do well. So just try and keep it clean and push to the front together.
Well done, Lewis, on your 2nd place. You've done well today. Davey, that's 3 out of 3, isn't it?
Yes, it is, yeah. Real pleased with that. Managed to get the whole shot from 1st on the grid, and then Lewis pushed me the whole way there, and I think he had the pace on me slightly. I just managed to keep my lines clean and make as little mistakes as I could, and managed to keep ahead.
I was going to say, at one point in the middle of the race, he was right on your tail, and I thought he was going to have you, but you managed to still keep yourself out in front.
Yeah, definitely, and it's a real good result from Team DCR. It's 1-2 and 1-2 on the podium as well overall.
Well, I hope I'm not out of line by saying probably not one of the most interesting races in terms of passing and action on track, but probably one of the most interesting races in terms of results and the overall championship. Andy, Chris Hodgson clawing his way back up through there, but Richard Sharp having a good race there.
Yeah, it's good to see Sharper getting back up there. Was he fourth in that one now?
Fourth,
so, yeah, he's getting back onto form after his problems from last year.
And you were telling me, I think, to be fair, so far this year I've done him a bit of an injustice saying, I thought he'd done a bit better than that. He had a compound fracture in his leg, didn't he?
He did, yeah. He had a bad accident last year, and it's good to see him actually getting back up to speed now, pushing towards the front.
Absolutely. And Richard, you spent quite a bit of time trying to get past that bus that was Dale O'Connor in front of you.
Yeah, he's an hard man to pass. Eventually I got past him and then caught Mushy up, and I couldn't pass him because he was on the last lap I caught him. But I said, Dale, he's such an hard man to pass. But he says he's fair, but he's just planted on the track where you want to go, he's there. So he's all right though. He's a good lad at riding. Yeah,
good defensive rider. But yeah. I mean, we've seen him up the championship. Being on the podium and on his day, like yourself, equally capable of being first, second, or third. Were you expecting him to be maybe a little bit quicker? I know you maybe struggled a little bit in that round yourself too. But who would you really be thinking could be challenging up there on a round by round basis? I suppose.
Well, Dale's got like I say, he's on a stock bike, and he's funding it with himself. So some meetings he's not been there, but I say he's consistent. He's always up there. He's always riding, and he's always the top 5 sort of thing. So he's what I mean. He's one of the contenders really.
And Chris Walker just ahead of you. It's good to see him. No disrespect to you, but actually getting a position slightly higher there. Sharp and Chris Walker are riders that I would expect to be seen up there along with yourself.
Well, I think he tends to die. Well, not die, should I say? Tire towards the end of the race. As same with Andy here.
All right, thanks, Lloyd. He's one of the older guys, is Chris. I'm sure he won't mind us saying that. It's good to see another older guy up in the top 5.
He's hard work.
He's a fast rider.
But that, going back to what we were saying before, if you know a rider's going to do that and you're going to tire and you can wear him down a little bit, you're going to be gunning for that and watching for mistakes, I suppose, aren't you?
You are, but Chris has been around a long time, racing motocross and things. Is quite aware of the old panic rev in the corners and showing front wheel thing. He knows how to handle that.
Well, boys, we'll resume this in a few moments' time, see who else we can insult in the process. We'll be back in a few minutes. We're going to take an advert break. Join us again in a few.
OneToLiveAfloat.com sponsors the British Supermoto Championship. OneToLiveAfloat.com sponsors the British Supermoto Championship.
Welcome back to round 6 of all the Supermoto action from the Open Elite class from Three Sisters in Wigan. Let's get down to the podiums to find out who got the top step and take a look at the standings. So David Todd taking the top step, then the overall winner for today's competition, and he draws level with Chris Hodgson in the British Championship standings. Chris Hodgson, the man who currently officially leads most wins overall at 581 points, but David Todd drawing neck and neck with him. Lewis Cornish in third place with 513 ahead of Richard Blakeman, Richard Sharp, Dale O'Connor, Tim Johnson in 7th ahead of Graham Norris, Ollie Kemp and John Earnshaw, the top 10 in the British Championship. So Chris Hodgson in real danger now because Davey Todd has caught up with him in the standings. I mean, my money would have probably been on Davey, just as an outsider really, not that I didn't think Chris could do it, but actually he has been and gone and done it now. He's got a real fight at this going into the next round at Teesside. I'll come on to that a little bit later, but some fantastic racing today.
Yeah, it's been quite good all day, to be honest. There's been quite a few battles throughout the class, which is quite good. I don't know what you've seen.
I've seen you laid up floor again as usual. But,
not new there then.
Yeah. No, it's been good. I mean, obviously the DCI boys are on form at Three Sisters. We've got Davey now joint leading the championship. Lewis has had 3rd and 2 seconds. It's fantastic,
I think he's taken over. Yeah, I was going to say, I think he's taken over me now. So he's knocked me off 3rd spot and I've gone to 4th. It's not too good.
I mean, that's the thing now. Are we seeing Chris Hodgson making mistakes now? Are we seeing him under pressure, maybe, Andy?
I think so. I think there might be a few chinks in the armour appearing now. Davies has had a few wins and he knows he can do it now, so there's no holding him back. I think he's going to be a real contender now.
You know, there's Hodgson's pass on Davy Todd, you know, making his way just to stamp his foot of authority on this round, or try to. You know, a classic Chris Hodgson move there, coming down paddock straight, wasn't there? Let's take a look at this now. And just ran out wide, cut to the inside, bam, straight up, just as Davy was about to turn in there as well.
He just tipped in, didn't he?
Yeah.
And sat him up.
Was it? Yeah, as you say, sat him up, woke him up a little bit, and showed him that front wheel that we were talking about a little bit earlier.
I don't think Davy knew he was going to come through there. And I said, Chris come through, good pass, and sat him up and took the lead.
Just looking at the back end breaking away, that's something that you commented on. I think we've got another clip in a little while, but just Chris Hodgson's back end just breaking away a little bit there.
I'm saying Davy's just gone up the inside of Chris again. I said Chris's suspension's there, just sitting him up again.
You can definitely see halfway through the race there, Chris's rear suspension, the tyre, I don't know what's going on, but it's definitely unsettling the bike a lot more than the older type linkageless suspension that Davy's
So what
using.
can he do with what he's already got then, Andy? How can he change that and set that up to maybe give it a better ride?
I'm not sure really, maybe just the settings in the shocker. It may actually be a frame issue. You know, I know they're running a different swinging arm and probably a linkage as well, I'm not sure.
I think they're on a standard shock at the rear, I think. I'm not sure. I know they're on factory forks on the front. I think they're on a standard rear.
It may actually be an issue where they need to stiffen the frame up by adding extra gussets to the steering area. That's what we used to find with some of the older bikes. If you gusset the steering stem up on the frame to stiffen the front end up, and it'll lose that flex in the frame.
And Richard, we were talking about, in fact, you tried a slightly similar system as well for this round yourself, didn't you? But, you know, he's got Trevor Pope working with him, Chris Hodgson has, you know, with all the, you know, electronics and computer mapping and whatever that he's got with his bike. You know, is he getting a bit too complicated with this? Is he pushing it too far down the road in one direction when actually fundamentally it's his chassis and his, you know, and his basic setup that's letting him down? I
don't know really. It's hard. It's where do you stop? You know what I mean? You could throw 10, 15 grand at it, but sometimes you could be in the same boat as us on a normal bike. It's where do you stop, basically. That's what you've got to look at.
There's an argument for checkbook racing. You know, when you're British champion, you might have offers or whatever, you know, to come in and say, oh, we want to work with you, we want to help you develop the sport. That's great. But at the same time, you know, if you're getting the fundamentals wrong, you're in trouble still, aren't you?
Well, it's like we were saying before, there's like I'm on an 09 bike. I think Dave is the same. But Chris is on I think there's only two of them. There's Chris and Tim Johnson. They're the only ones on that are on the 13.
On the latest chassis, Dale's actually riding the new bike as well.
Is he?
But it's those extra tenths when you're looking for tenths of a second. If you're looking for a tenth of a second per corner, you know, on a 10-corner track, that's a second a lap. And, you know, it's tenths that you're looking for at that level.
Well, let's talk about tenths at the start. Let's move on to race 2, because David Todd out of the start in race 2 seemed to pop out the start for me. I don't know if his body weight just lifted a little bit there, whether he'd shifted his body weight, but he made a brilliant start in race 2 there, didn't he?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, Chris he veered off to the right. Dave had a really good start, it was straight. But look at that there, straight up the inside, Chris, showing his authority, and pushed Davey out, and Lewis come through as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Lewis came through, pushed Davey down into third place, but we have actually got the pass as Davey stomps back through past his DCR teammate as well. A great pass up the inside of Conwood Straight.
It is, yeah. He's really got Luna sorted out for this meeting, as Davey. He's doing really well around there. Quite impressed.
There was this one of yours, Richard, because it was definitely a full moon there, I saw.
Yeah.
And a heavy looking fall.
Yeah, that's where I ate that bit of tar between the different tarmacs. I got up and up my knee again. It's not too good, to be honest.
It's not. I mean, you know, it was spectacular. It certainly looked good. Meanwhile, out in front, Chris Hodgson's binned it. David Todd clears up, and well, you know, that puts him in the shop window to say, well, actually, I can maybe draw a level. He hasn't quite done it because we've still got race 3 to go by this point. But you know, a great win for Davey, and that was the point that arguably could well have cost Chris Hodgson the championship at this point, because he finished 15th in the race at the back, couldn't, you know, box full of neutrals by the looks of things, couldn't get it going.
Yeah, that could be a major changing point in the championship now. I mean, obviously Chris had a bad race the race before. He's tried his best to get past Davey on that last lap there, just pushed a little bit too hard on the off-road section and he's gone down. 4 strokes now, when they get really hot, it's hard to start them. And teams are using lighter and lighter batteries, to try and keep the weight of the bike down for the handling, but they don't quite have the same power for starting the motor either. So that may be something that's caught them out there.
We talked about this earlier in the season as well. You know, a lot of riders now with the electric start rather than the kickstart, because I suppose once you've had a heavy fall like that as well, you know, it's difficult to kickstart a bike too, much easier than an electric switch. But it's something else to fail too, isn't it?
It is. The KTMs have had the electric start now for 5 or 6 years. None of the Japanese manufacturers. But the KTM and Husqvarna probably is electric start as well. It adds a fair amount of weight to the bike, but when it works, it's amazing to just push the button as you're lifting the bike off the floor.
So there's always a compromise. You've got to figure out how many times you're going to be on the deck.
That's
Richard.
right.
Thanks, yeah.
You're welcome. Anyway, Chris Hodgson, Davy Todd, dead level. I think you were saying that you've just moved down to fourth. Lewis Cornish overtaking you in the championship. We said at the top, 22 points behind you. There's quite a lot to claw back.
It is, like we were saying before, I want to try and get top 3 this year, because then we can ride Bulgaria, which is all tarmac track, and it's one of the best tracks I've ever ridden.
And I suppose, like Three Sisters, one of the only tabletops as well.
Yeah, the tabletop, that's all tarmac, but over in Bulgaria they're twice as big. You've got the wall of death, and you've got a set of whoops. What are all tarmac as well, so I want to get there really.
Absolutely. In the next round, T-side, so I suppose you'll be setting yourself up to try and get selected by. It's David Aiden doing.
Yes, David Aiden's top 3 through like top 3 of the championship. So I need to get my points, pull my finger out, as they say.
Absolutely.
You're going to struggle, I think, at the moment. You know, we've got Hodges up there, and the 2 DCR boys are on fire at the moment.
I think, well, said Davy's pulling his. Well, at level with Chris now, isn't he? So it's all to play for, I think.
And of course, T-side, we're going to David Todd's home round. It's just down the road from him. I think it's even sponsored by the circuit as well. So loads of track time. You know, despite what Chris Hodgson may say about Rowra, I don't get in on it that much. You know, I think Davy is the expert around there, and he's the man to beat. So that's a real advantage for him, surely. Andy, I mean, you've ridden the place. Yeah. How much of a home track advantage do you think that'll have over everyone else that's maybe not been there for a few years?
It should be good for Davy. I mean, that's another narrow track, similar to Rowra, really. You've got some fast straights with tight hairpin corners. So it is quite a difficult place to get past people, so I think a home advantage.
Go-kart track into
it
again.
It is. It's got a couple of fast straights, a couple of long corners, but also lots of 180 type corners where it is difficult to get past other people.
Yeah. And for yourself, Richard, you know, it's unfair to say a bit of a spoiler, but you're looking to get into the top 3 to actually get yourself selected for the designations. But that means that someone's got to drop the game a little bit in order for you to do that, or you beat someone, you know, equally fair and square. So it's all to play for at Seaside.
Like I said, try and pull my finger out and try and top 2 or even win everything from now until the end of the year. Which I think it's more training and in the gym, really.
Well, guys, we'll have to leave it there. Join us again next week for the British Superlight Championship, 9 a.m. on Motors TV, as we'll be showing you the action from the 4-wheel class at Teesside. We'll be back in the studio in 2 weeks' time for all the action from the Open Elites. Davy Todd drawing level with Chris Hodgson in the British Championship. Thank you so much to my 2 guests today, Richard Blakeman and Andy Mitchell. Great to have you in the studio with us today. From us here today, that's all we've got time for. Take care. We'll see you again next time.
Float.com sponsors the British Supermoto Championship.